Three, two, one. We are recording. And what a nice shirt you have on there, Roger.
Yes, I am proud to join your legions of merch-wearing guests.
Yes, my harem of guests grows larger. There's more people. Do you like it?
Well, and very much. And so I know that you wanted me to review this shirt. This is the cheaper shirt, the $35 shirt, the Area 51, and I showed it to our marketing director,
Oh yeah.
who is in charge of our merch for a company with over 100 employees. And she said the first thing she said was, "That is a damn cool shirt."
Fuck yeah.
Because the second thing she said was, this was printed by infusion and not screen printing. And this is an extremely superior technique because it drives the ink into the fabric. And you pretty much have to do this for this four-way stretch material that you've got here, because otherwise it would come out. It's like, so you can't feel like the ink pattern on it. It has twice the resolution of screen printing, which you can really see in this
Yeah.
with these really fine lines of the grid in the background. It doesn't show in the preview. The computer generated previews on
On the website.
the shop site don't do it justice.
Yeah.
This is a fucking beautiful shirt.
Thanks,
Um,
man.
and the the construction is excellent. The material is excellent. Now, this is, like I said, this is the cheaper shirt, the $35 shirt. So they call it cotton feel. They're not kidding. It feels exactly like cotton. I have cotton shirts, even though it is entirely synthetic. The other thing that is not apparent, which is, if you look at where, like, the sleeve panels, which are a completely different design,
Hmm.
meet the torso, the printing goes into the seam. This shirt was printed as individual fabric panels first, then it was assembled.
Yeah.
It was sewn into a shirt. This is extremely high quality. And Jamie, our marketing person, said that. It's like, yeah. When I told her what I paid for it, she said, "Well, that's what it costs if you want it done right." It's
Fuck
like,
yeah.
yeah, our company doesn't do that. Normally, when you order a logo T-shirt, they start with an assembled shirt
Hmm.
that's been, made in some
Yeah.
place. And
Vietnam.
uh yeah, and then they say, well, this is a Hanes model, blah 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 blah. And they'll even ship you one so you can test the fit and everything. But then uh it's an assembled shirt and they print on that.
Hmm.
This shirt was printed as fabric panels, flat,
Yeah.
and then it was assembled. And I think it had to be assembled in North America, and I think it may have even been assembled in the United States. Uh, so it's absolutely a beautiful piece of work,
Thanks.
and this is my wheelhouse. I have worn pullover shirts pretty much every day of my life since I was 10 years old, because a logo T-shirt for my school was the uniform for my middle and high school. It's a habit that I continued after that. And nowadays, it's kind of the informal uniform for the company that I work for.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is basically how I have dressed my entire adult life. And it is an absolutely beautiful, wonderful shirt. One thing I noticed is pulling it out of the plastic bag, there was no hint of static electricity. It just came out and it felt, they say cotton feel. It feels like cotton. And it had no static electric. Now, coming out of the dryer, it did have a little, I will say, because I've washed it,
Hmm.
uh, but it quickly faded. As opposed to, for example, my work shirts, which are logo tees, and you can wear them all day long, throw them in the laundry hamper, and hear them crackling from the static electricity after you have worn them all day long. Uh, this is a much, much higher quality product than that. I am very happy with it. And I have ordered a shirt this is of course Area 51. We got
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar here, and I've ordered Fractal Pharaoh, and I didn't like uh the thing about that is you only have Fractal Pharaoh available in orange in the cheap shirt,
I didn't.
and
Oh, I didn't put up the other. Fuck. All right.
which is and orange isn't really a color that I think favors me. So I went ahead and splurged because I figured you would want me to review the better shirts anyway. So I bought one of the better quality shirts. I bought it in gold in
Yeah.
the $50 sports shirt.
Fuck yeah.
They haven't shipped it yet though,
Yeah.
so I don't know what's up with that. But I figured the gold, because this is in this shirt. Our marketing director told me this is not screen printed; it's infused, and she took me on a little tour of how printing occurs for fabrics. And she said the process that they used to make this shirt embeds the ink in the cloth, so it won't come out, so it's permanent. And it kind of, you have to do that because with screen printing the ink kind of sits on top of the fabric, and if you have this four-way stretch fabric, it sort of comes off.
Hmm.
um, but she said she had been thinking of getting herself an infusion printer for her personal projects, but it would have been much smaller. It would not have been large enough to do a shirt,
Hmm.
and it would have still been several $1,000s.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is that infusion printing, even if you only have one color, it's like, okay, this shirt is mostly blue, okay.
Hmm.
um, and on screen printing you get a discount for that if you only want to use one ink. But infusion printing is a CMYK four color process no matter what. If you're printing an Alabama t-shirt and it's all red, doesn't matter. It's still a four color process. It costs the same.
Hmm.
So this is an extremely high quality process, and it's uh, I only own one shirt that I would say is better quality than this one, and that is one my dad gave me that had been sitting in a drawer in his bureau for at least 20 years. And it is actually made of cotton, and it doesn't have a custom printing on it. It's obviously made from cloth that was printed by the usual, rotary methods and stuff. But it's a very nice shirt, and the quality just isn't there to that extent nowadays.
Hmm.
This shirt is, Jamie, our marketing girl said basically, when I told her what I paid for this shirt, she said, that's what it costs. You
Yeah.
weren't done right.
Yeah. It's
So, uh, so yes, actual people who know what they're doing. Someone who does marketing for a company with more than 100 employees looked at this shirt and said, that's a damn nice shirt.
fuck yeah. Thanks, Roger. I'm gonna splice that whole thing and upload that just as a clip as the review because I appreciate all those kind words. You legitimately just made my day. I'm still sick and I feel like shit. So that was a nice little candy coating.
Damn.
But it
Okay.
but it's that is what I mean. One, the actual designs themselves. Like I go into, I make them 8K files. I don't. There's no wasted space. There's no, like video games with like
No.
huge maps, but like a lot of it's like a mountain that you can't use. When I make designs, they're fully the whole thing's. But the point is
It's
so all those designs with clothes though I've started doing this. I originally went in, and I remember like 2 years ago, I had a shirt made for my mom. I made her a Trump shirt. Right, it was a cotton shirt, a nice cotton shirt. I mean, it holds up. It's whatever, but it's a cotton shirt. It doesn't really. It doesn't. My logic is this: is sort of like with the podcast, right? I I'm not breaking any ground on cinematography or sound design or upload routine or like I'm not breaking ground on any of that. Like so the one thing that I can do is just be me, have the conversations I have with the array of guests I have, right? I can go from Dale talking about, invading Panama and then I can jump to you and we can talk about big data, right? The point is I use what I have because I know I'm not gonna take on other YouTube channels on that level. That they have whole teams that do their video. So with the shirts, I had the same logic with the hoodies and with the shirts and the sweatpants. Is I looked at it as I was like, so what am I gonna do? Am I just gonna make a cotton shirt that says TPC? Like, no, I want to be able to kind of win on my own terms. And my logic was is there are shirts that have like they have like print areas. And then with every article of clothing, they have one kind, and it's called all over. And it's where you can cover the whole thing. There's not a square. And so
Yes.
for all the merch I make, all of it is all over. Yeah, it's all over printing. And I mean, including, well, this one isn't a good example, but like the hoodie of that on the inside, it's the newspaper,
Yeah.
like the cuffs are the newspaper. And Dr. Michael Guillen said the other week, because he
Yes,
got
I saw it. I saw him.
he was like, video doesn't do it justice. And I was like,
It doesn't.
that was my biggest thing. I was like, I just have to get people to buy. That's why I wear them every episode. But like, even the video doesn't do it. It's the highest resolution printing I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Yeah. Well, Jamie told me that the thing about infusion printing is that in addition to infusing the ink into the fabric, it has double the resolution
Mm-hmm.
of screen printing. So screen printing is like 75 dots per inch, and infusion printing is more like 150. And you've got these fine lines in this grid pattern, and they're not even showing on the video, even though I'm wearing the shirt. But I mean, this is an absolutely beautiful shirt. I've never had a piece of clothing with printing on it that is this nice. This is
Thanks, man.
uh, absolutely gorgeous piece of
Yeah.
work. Uh, and and of course it costs money. So
Yeah, no, they're not cheap. None of it's cheap. There's no way around that.
yeah, but like our marketing girl who does marketing for a company with over 100 employees said, well, if you paid $35 for that, that's what it costs. It's like we don't do that nice. I have the logo shirts that I wear that have our company logo on them. At the end of the day, after wearing them all day, I can throw them in the clothes hamper and hear them crackling
Yeah,
with static electricity.
yeah, fuck
And
that.
which is it's like that's it,
Yeah,
it's but it's what are you gonna do? I mean, those are our shirts. So
yeah.
but I have worn shirts like this, like I said, every day of my life since since I was 10 years old. So you're talking about 40, 50 years. And this is one of the nicest shirts that I own.
Thanks,
And
man. It's
I'm really looking forward to getting uh fractal pharaoh gold in the heavier fabric, so I can hopefully review that for you next time. They haven't shipped it yet though. It's like they got this one out quick.
yeah.
um
They're. I haven't figured out the science of like what takes them time and what doesn't. Sometimes like this one with all the cherubs on it,
mhm.
this got like right out the door. And then like the one with like all the pharaohs on it, that one took it like a month. I don't know. I don't know if it's complexity or if it's I'm just hitting them at weird times. But yeah, my logic is
Yeah.
like and even so the other thing is when you're uploading the files to Shopify, it shows you what like the PPI is or the DPI, the dots per inch, right? And it recommends you don't go below like 120 and you can go higher up. So because I can do it on individual panels, I don't have to get one file to cover the whole thing. I'll do one file for each panel. So the dots per inch, I mean, some of them get up to like 300 and 400. Like it's
Yeah.
insane resolution. And again, my logic is they're expensive. I mean, there's no way around it. This hoodie was like $65. Like, but I know when people see them, and for everybody listening, this wasn't planned. Roger and I did not plan. This isn't some Roger. I want you to wear my shirt. I'm sick as fuck. I literally just pulled myself off the toilet. I was like, podcast time. Let's do this. So this is hand over my heart. This is a genuine conversation. It's my logic is people are gonna see them, and it's kind of like Hydro Flask. You know the flask with the vacuum insulation that keeps shit cold for like 2 days. They don't do any advertisements. Not on TV, not on radio, not on internet, nothing. Because they know when people use it, other people are like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
I remember my
It's kind of
roommate.
like it's kind of like not doing any promotion on my novel.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's
Right?
you
It's
know people recommend it. It goes around. It's
yeah,
like you know, the it's these are nice though, and it's like I know that you probably haven't done any of the t-shirts yet, but it's like the high temperature today is almost 80 degrees, and
yeah,
it's not even summer yet.
yeah. You can't do you.
So
Yeah,
so
no,
hoodies are not a practical thing down here.
yeah,
Uh and my wife actually showed me when I told her about this whole thing with the t-shirt. She said, "Oh yeah, and I bought a hoodie." And she brought it out and showed it to me. So she's bird watcher, so it was bird themed. It was one of the people that she knows on the internet, and she says like, "I bought this to support the guy," but she had only worn it like 4 or 5 times because the weather is never right for it. It's
yeah,
either it's either hot or it's raining, which is not really good for hoodies with cloth outer coverings either. So, uh, yeah, it's like welcome to Louisiana.
yeah.
But these shirts, it's like I got to admit, you stepped up to the plate when I told you. It's like, can you get me t-shirts? And it's like, hey,
Fuck
uh,
yeah,
I really like it. This
fuck
is
yeah, man.
nice.
I appreciate it. No,
Yeah.
it's I need to. I definitely need to pivot and kind of transfer all the designs to t-shirts and different types of t-shirts because
Yeah.
it's
And
hot.
you need to get a couple. You need to get a couple for yourself because, of course, it's getting to be summer. I saw that you were like cranking the air conditioner up so that you wouldn't,
Yeah,
just like sweat to death in your hoodie. No, you should enjoy them yourself. They're very nice.
yeah,
At least this one. Now, the heavier ones are supposed to have the antimicrobial and the water control stuff for sports and stuff. So when I get it, I'll report to you on how that works. So it's like not that I'm going to do a workout in it because
yeah.
that's not Roger. It's
Yeah, it's
but it's a heavier fabric and it's nicer construction. It's more expensive, of course, and I could get it in gold.
yeah, yeah.
And normally I would like gold, not you don't get that print on a t-shirt, but on this process, actually I got a feeling it's gonna look nice.
Dude, the Pharaoh one, not the fractal Pharaoh. That one's super high resolution too. But the gaudy one where it's just like the gold,
Yeah.
dude. The I mean, it's insane, and you're gonna look like a goofball if you wear it. No one can wear that. No one can pull off that hoodie. My friend wanted one. My friend's like 20 years older than me, and he was like, I kind of want to get one of those, but he's like, I think I'm too old for it. And I was wearing it, and I looked him dead in the eye, and I go, no one at any age looks good wearing this. I was like, this isn't. There's no, no one wears this, and it's like, oh yeah, 18-year-old. No, it's King Tut's face with $100 bills. There's the whole thing is like you can't kind of be gaudy, so just own it. And that's why I was like, what are the cuffs and the hood going to be? And I was like, well, it's already gold. And so I was like, if Donald Trump wore a hoodie, what would it be? And I was like, well, there'd be $100 bills. So that's what I did. But like this one, this oh, and another thing. So with the images that I upload, not only do I upload individual ones for each panel, but I also run my images through an AI upscaler. So I kid you not, the files I upload are like 30 by 35,000 pixels. It's dude. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I have to leave it up overnight. I had to because I re-uploaded my whole library.
Yeah.
I did. I'm like this. Like I uploaded this, but because I did it, like you can zoom. Like again, the video doesn't do it justice, but you can like
Yeah.
go in on his hand, like looking in the mirror.
The
He
yeah,
has
the video doesn't do this shirt justice because you've got like
yeah,
this fine grid thing going on over the entire surface.
yeah.
And it's just like, super fine resolution, little white lines in this blue, like, you know, uh, blueprint
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. And it's gorgeous. It's like, I mean, I've never seen detail like it before in a piece of clothing. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what Jamie told me was it was like, oh yeah. you can do this with infusion. This is like
Yeah.
one of the things it makes possible. No one knew that, and the thing is also because it's four-way stretch fabric, you can, mm, and, and all this, you have to do that because if it was screen printed, the ink would just fall off.
Hmm.
So, it's like, so you have a higher quality fabric, you have a higher quality of the printing process, and then it has to be assembled in the, it might be Mexico, but it's probably in the U.S. In any case, it's in North America, so it's not like, you get a bunch of shirts from Vietnam or something. No, this is actually a serious custom piece of construction, and I'm extremely happy with this one and looking really forward to when the next one arrives.
Fuck yeah.
And after that, I'll probably get one more. I'm seriously looking at Archimedes guy. Uh, then I will actually have enough shirts to take a vacation and not have to wear a work shirt. Because the last time I actually took a vacation, I realized that I didn't have enough shirts that didn't have the company logo on them to not wear a company shirt every day for a week. So this solves that problem for me.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it's
And that's what happens to you when you work at a company for 35 years. And it's like you just start taking it for granted. It's like, yeah, I only need two shirts that aren't, logoed. And it's like, then you take 2 weeks off and it's like, fuck, I don't have any shirts that don't have the company logo on them. So, all
yeah,
right,
it's
we're
it,
we're fixing that.
yeah, dude, it's again. I hope my logic is that I hope people see them, and I just kind of hope it goes word of mouth. Like, because I know they're ridiculous. Like when I wear this into like Wawa and go get a sub, I know people are looking at it for better or worse. I know people are looking at it because it's a bunch of cherubs covered in tattoos. Like I know they're, and to me, like I gotta meet them on my own playing field, right? Because I'm not gonna master the hoodie. I'm not gonna master the shirt. Like these clothes have already been created. Like so, I gotta do what I can. And man, if there isn't some like sweet like victory, because designing these, like I remember designing that one, I put like 100 plus hours into it, and I remember when I'd upload them to like
It's
Reddit.
unbelievable.
Yeah, when I'd upload them to like Reddit, a lot of people say like, "Oh, that's like a really cool design," and I'd be like, "Yeah, it took 107 hours," and they'd be like, "It doesn't look like it," and I'd be like, "Make sure you look at it on a desktop, not your phone." And so people would comment back, and they'd be like, "Oh my
Oh
god, I
yeah.
just pulled it up." But a lot of people pointed out they're like, "Unless you have a desktop, you can't really appreciate this." And I was always thinking like, "Fuck, is so much of their value hidden?" I never in a million
Yeah.
years planned for them
Oh,
to be hinted.
it's completely not obvious from the previews how just like how fine the detail is on these. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and you're making like maximum use of the printing process, which isn't available if you're doing screen printing, because
Hmm.
it's like that there you're limited to like 75 DPI. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, it's when I showed this to Jamie, she was like, oh yeah, it's like that. This is DPI. You can do double the DPI, and it's like this. And also, even if your whole shirt is one color, it's still CMYK 4 color process, because there's not like an ink discount if you only want one color. No,
Hmm.
it's when you're doing infusion, even if the whole shirt is one color, it's still a CMYK process. It costs the same. It's just like getting a photograph printed. It's like if you take a photograph of the Russian flag, it costs the same to get it developed as if you took a photo of the American flag, even though there's not only one color there. So uh, she's like, no, it's like this is the process that you choose when you want the absolute best result. And until you have one in hand and look at this, it's not really obvious. It's like even in the video, it's not obvious how much detail is in the design of this shirt. The fine little, grid like background and shit. It's like it's absolutely beautiful, and I love it. Yeah. So anyway, that's our clothing review for today.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be getting sick of it. Like Jesus Christ, we're just jerking each other off to
Yeah.
living quality. But hey, man, it's I appreciate it, and for everyone listening, that wasn't planned. Roger and I didn't.
No.
That wasn't
So anyway, in other news, I got this.
COVID vaccination.
Got my
Yeah,
second
yeah.
jab yesterday.
How you feeling?
Uh, my arm is a little sore. I got lucky there. I had a couple of coworkers who had more. It's like they had a fever and were out of sorts for the day or two. Uh, I was pretty sure I wouldn't though, because I'm pretty sure I also already had COVID. So it's like my
Mhm.
immune system knows what's going on here. But with the immunization, it's better.
Yeah.
So, and Office Depot, presumably Office Max, if that's what you got around, they're the same company now, will laminate your immunization card for free.
Fuck yeah.
Got that done this morning.
I th- I think I have. I think I have COVID, man. My mom thinks I just have allergies, but it's been like 6 days of like I am just shot, like just exhausted. I can't sleep enough, coughing nonstop. Just
Coughing isn't really a COVID thing, though. That
I thought
that
it was.
that's Not really. It's more fever, flu-like symptoms. Yeah, if you're coughing, that's probably something else. Uh, I had joint pain. I felt like my thighs were on fire. I literally, I was exposed to one of the first 100 people in the state of Louisiana who tested positive, and uh, went to work, and they were disinfecting the building, and they were like, "Didn't you get our text that we sent at 3 a.m.?" And it's like, no, I'm not in the habit of unlocking my phone at 6 a.m. before I drive to work to see if there's a text waiting. So I get there and they're like, "What are you doing here?" Uh, I work here. Uh, but the thing is, uh, so we started, this was last April, and we started, we did about a month and a half of the working from home thing. My company bought me a 4K monitor.
Fuck
Hey,
yeah.
yeah, had that's I told 'em, can't do my job without it. Uh, but the one of my other coworkers lost his sense of taste. Another one had flu-like symptoms, classic COVID, but not quite bad enough to get a test, because last April you couldn't get a test unless you were half dead with fever.
Hmm.
Uh, I thought, it was like, holy shit, I'm getting arthritis. I was like, I got out of bed and almost hit the floor because I couldn't stand up. I had to figure out new ways to tie my shoes because like my hips wouldn't, I couldn't bend over and all. And then, well, you think, okay, well, that's reasonable. I was 56 years old. Uh, Shit like this happens. I'm getting kind of used to it.
Hmm.
But then after a couple of weeks, it just sort of magically went away. It's like, well, arthritis doesn't magically go away. So that was when I got online, and I found out that in Wuhan, where they tested everyone, they found that like 15% of the people who tested positive said their only symptom had been joint pain.
Hmm.
So it was like, oh, that's consistent. And the timing, there was a week gestation, 2 weeks of disease, and then it magically went away. Oh, I had COVID.
Hmm.
No. Uh, there was a lot of people last March, April, and May 2020 who probably had it and didn't realize, or maybe they were wondering. Um, but I wasn't too worried about the vaccine because I figured, it's like I was pretty sure I already had it. But I also knew the vaccine is better than having had the virus at giving you more immunity for future interactions. So I was like, and it's funny because it's like I became eligible about a month ago, um, and the governor announced the change in the rules, and it was people who are 65 or over, which neither of us are. My wife is in her early 60s, and I'm in my late 50s. And but they had a bunch of if you have any of these comorbidities, then you're eligible. And so I got home that Friday, the day that they announced the change. And my wife was like, Monday, you got to sign up. You got to go find a place. It's like, okay, it's like you're eligible now. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not 65. And she's like, yeah, but you have coronary artery disease. And the way she said it was like I won the fucking lottery.
Roger, wake up, Roger! It's Christmas. You have
Yes, you can get the vaccine.
you have.
So and so I did. Interestingly, she was getting her first shot yesterday about the same time I was getting my second and final one. Because now everybody is eligible.
Mhm.
Uh, and Now, but also yesterday they had a news item that said 35% of white people and 15% of black people in Louisiana told the pollster they were not going to get the vaccine. Now, the math and the epidemiology says we need 80% to get true herd immunity so that it is actually safe to have football stadiums full of fans and
Mhm.
all the rest of the shit that we remember from 2 years ago. And as you know, I self identify as kind of a left liberal type of person. Uh, but my reaction to that is that it's like, okay, we go a month or two, okay, and we get to a point where instead of people trying to jump the line, they're offering vaccination slots and people are not taking it up. And we give them a month. We give them, plenty of time. Because the thing is, even if you only get one shot of the Pfizer and Moderna, that still pretty much guarantees that you won't end up in the hospital, you won't end up on a ventilator, and you won't die. Now, it doesn't guarantee that you can't get the disease. It doesn't guarantee that you won't transmit it to someone else. That's what the booster is for, is
Mhm.
to make sure that you are completely immune. But what I'm thinking is, you get to a point where everyone has had a chance. And then just open the fucker up.
Yeah.
100% it's 100% at the sports stadium,
Yeah.
100% at the restaurants. Let the restaurants do whatever the fuck they want anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because then the only people left, the people who are going now,
With
the only people who are
to get it.
like fucked by this are the medical guys. Sorry, sucks to be you. There's going to be another wave of people who are stupid and who are going to end up in the ER and all that. But there is not a vaccine for stupid.
Hmm.
And so my
Yeah.
thinking there is, you know, on our very first podcast, you mentioned when you were telling me that you like to collect conspiracy theories and shit, and you mentioned that I like the stuff that's the room temperature IQ. And it's like I love that phrase. It's like, okay, when I hear when I think of the phrase room temperature IQ, people who aren't going to get vaccinated against COVID float to the top.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, at some point, Darwin comes along and finishes the job.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, okay, yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, let's not do COVID passports. Fuck that. Yeah, it's like in another 2 or 3 months, everyone who actually wants to be vaccinated
Will
will
be.
have a chance to at least have the first shot
Yeah.
of the two-shot series. And after that, if you haven't, fuck you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like I'm the left liberal guy, and I'm saying is like, at some point you've just got to say, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. If you give everyone an opportunity,
yeah,
and
you make sure everyone has the chance,
yes,
and
you,
then
you put the warnings on the cigarettes, you put the calories on the Big Mac container. If you want to go eat it and get morbidly obese, hey, it's on you. You know. Everyone knows you should what have 2,000 calories a day. If you're eating 4 Big Macs and they're at 1,100 a day, that's on you. You know, it's at a certain point. Everyone knows. Like, hey, you're free to smoke cigarettes. Some people, they're free to smoke, and they say like, hey, we're all dying no matter what. I enjoy cigarettes. Knock yourself out. You know, at a certain point, you are free to do that. Is and if you don't want to
Yeah.
get it, it's
One of my best friends is a heavy smoker. He's like, you know, I mean, seriously, it's like he can't go more than 15 minutes without ducking out of the restaurant to have another smoke break. And but he knows.
yeah. You're a sentient adult. You're allowed to do that.
But I think it's like the people who are just like, I'm not going to get vaccinated because, for real, do you realize what a fucking miracle it is that we have these vaccines? I mean, nothing like this has ever happened before in human history. This was like a scientific miracle that they managed to get these vaccines in production in just a year. I
Hmm.
mean, in the past, it would have been 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's like nothing like this ever happened. Nothing like this happened in 1918, the
Hmm.
last time we had it. But everyone's in the, you know, fucking denial. It's like, oh, it's like, no, this isn't happening. One of the most heartbreaking things is reading the accounts of medical people who are going. It's like they've got people in the intensive care unit. They're about to put on ventilators. Going, this can't be happening. COVID isn't real. It's like, yeah, you've got COVID. This is why you have pneumonia, and
Hmm.
they're denying it to the last, literally their dying breath. And it's like, well, you can't cure that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No,
so
I think it's it's sad, but I do think it's someone's freedom to. I think it's sad seeing someone eat themselves to death. I think it's sad. I worked at a liquor store, man. It was sad seeing the same guy come in every morning and get the same thing, and it was like, hey, but
it was probably me.
right. But at a certain, I mean, this guy was a successful guy. He just, couldn't. He had to drink, or he'd, get withdrawals, and it's part of you wants to jump and say like that guy shouldn't be allowed to drink for his own good, but that's a very slippery slope, and at a certain point there is the division between, we are not a nanny state. If you want to not get a vac, okay, you're probably gonna die. You're an older guy. You got whatever
Yeah,
lung problems. But at a certain point, it's
you have a chance.
you
You,
people have, yeah, exactly.
and
Hey,
if you don't want to take it, then you take your chances.
and that's on you. And if you die, I'm not gonna laugh at anyone who dies, but I mean, hey, that's on you, right? If your hobby is base jumping, that's awesome. I'll be sad if you die, but at the same time, it's kind of like you know you're
or
you're
wings
you're walking on that edge, right?
or wingsuiting. I saw a
Yeah,
video of a guy who was doing the wingsuit thing, and he went face first into the side of a bridge.
yeah, done.
It
Yeah,
was like, yeah, it was like there's
yeah,
blood all over the place, and yeah, well, I mean, that's a thing that can happen if you're
yeah.
going.
I've had on Sean Coots 3 times now. He is a professional wingsuiter. He teaches like wingsuit courses. He taught skydiving to like the Army Rangers. He's qualified to teach special ops. How to learn how to do a jump out of a plane. This guy's done tens of thousands of jumps. I've had him on here. If you watch him talk, he never gets excited. He's the most just low baseline, and it's like he just jumps out of planes all day. And you're just like, well, there's a guy that like he knows the equipment upside down and backwards, and that's just his. He's like, I don't have kids. He got a vasectomy. He was like, I don't have kids. I don't. He's like, I'm not married. I'm not leaving anyone behind. You know, sure, my parents would be sad, but he's like, this is what I love, and something goes wrong one day, okay, but I am choosing to live a life where every day of my life I get to fly, and like that's your choice.
That
That's
yeah,
your choice.
that's an extremely mature attitude toward it too. I have to admire that.
Yeah, and that's just. But what I mean is like you can't have me coming in there and being like, all right, buddy, you've jumped tens of thousands of times, you're gonna die. No, at a certain point, man, you got to go. Are you hurting anyone else? No. Okay, go for it.
No.
It's
And
that's
that's what I'm saying. It's like the math says we need 80%
yeah.
to have herd immunity, but we're not going to get that because we have too many people. You can't cure stupid,
Well,
and they're not going to do
you
it.
will get herd immunity when those people die off.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be
So,
callous. It's because I know people that aren't going to get it, and I'm not going to speak ill of that. I have friends
and
who are
and
physicians.
honestly, most of them will live. It
Yeah,
only
yeah,
kills about 5% of the people who get it.
yeah.
But if you're going to be like that, if you're going to say, well, I'm going to be room temperature IQ and say I'm not going to get the vaccine because I have this dumbass idea about it, then it's like at a certain point we just have to say, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You're not going to hurt me because I'm vaccinated. You're not going to hurt my wife because she's vaccinated. You're not going to hurt any of my friends who got vaccinated. You're going to hurt yourself and people like you. Uh, Now, my wife, who's only had one jab, might actually get the virus and spend a couple of weeks being kind of sick, but she's not going to die.
Hmm.
So this is the sort of thing we live with anyway.
Yeah.
And like we get to that point where it's 50 or 60%, and we make sure that everyone who wants it has had a chance to get it.
Hmm.
Okay, because everyone that I care about has jumped at it at the very first opportunity. My wife has been super pissed that she couldn't get it until this week. Uh, because the age she was 1 year below the age cut off, but now she's got it. Okay, so it's like they've jumped at it. They've had people trying to jump the line, and now you're gonna get people who are just like, well, I'm not gonna do that. It's like, okay, fine. It's like, once we get to 50 or 60%, then what's going to happen? The only people that are really going to be negatively affected by this are the medical professionals who are going to have to deal with another wave of assholes coming into the emergency rooms and ending up on ventilators and shit. But then that's going to pass and it's going to be done.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
that's where I am on this. It's like, yeah, 6 months ago I would have said, the people who are saying, well, let's just open it up and all are just fucking selfish assholes. But at this point, I'm ready to say no. Actually, the fucking selfish assholes are the people who aren't taking advantage of the fact that we can fix this now, and then all right, let them die.
Hmm. Yeah.
Darwin's law is in effect here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, yeah. It's I have to play devil's advocate. I have two friends. One is my age. One is closer to your age. Both are physicians. Both are much smarter than me. Both refuse to get the vaccine. And like at a certain point, I have to go. Are they or these are guys that I can't tell you because it will narrow it down. Incredibly intelligent people, Ivy League med school intelligent, like MD, PhD. Who am I
yeah,
to tell them that they have to do it? I don't know.
yeah.
I
You
mean,
can be
I can't argue with them because what the fuck am I going to argue about? They're going to run me.
intelligence has different dimensions though, and so you can actually be smart enough to get into medical school and pass and be really kind of unwise at life decisions or susceptible to things like conspiracy theories, which is, of course, a hobby horse of yours.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of the people who get ensnared in conspiracy theories aren't stupid. They're the opposite. They're ensnared because it's so seductive. You
Hmm.
have all of these little tricks and traps and angles and shit that connect in ways that you think maybe no one has ever seen.
Hmm.
And the uh
Yeah. No.
but at the
To
But at the
further,
end of the day, you have to live in the real world with the rest of us.
yeah, no, I mean to further complicate it, both these friends of mine, they're not on just playing devil's advocate. They're not unwise. They're wildly intelligent, and they're both super liberal. So like it doesn't this thing doesn't fit in the which is why, like I said, at a certain point I just have to go, just like how you and I we agree to disagree on things. At a certain point I have to look at them and be like, I okay, I mean, okay, like I can't, I literally can't argue. You know, I took college molecular biology. You got a PhD in it from Stanford. You know, you practice medicine at Duke. I don't know
Yep.
what. Okay, like what am I going to argue with them about? Like, you know,
Well, it's like, what is your rationale for not doing it?
they think that it was, both of them think that one of them is in epidemiology, thinks that the vaccine was rushed and they would rather wait and see what happens after a year. They're not never vaxxers, if that's a term. They're more so just like, I'm gonna watch the experiment go on for another 12 months, and then like, yeah, then I'll slap it in again.
Well, as long as they're taking precaution, the other
Yeah,
precautions against exposure, then that's not a completely stupid. Uh,
yeah. Again, I can't point at them or argue with them because I'm like they can run circles. So you know, it's like I'm not gonna tell Dale, you know what? You should really flashbang the left door and then go in the. Like, what the fuck am I? You know, hey Dale, I play a lot of Call of Duty. I know that you breached a door in Panama, and I know that you worked for the agency. But listen, I play a lot of Call of Duty. All right, when I listen to audiobooks, okay, and you know, let you step aside. You know, let me tell you what to do. It's kind of like it's like that. You know, like I'm not going to tell pilots like, no, you really gotta, you know, let me tell you about this. I failed calculus, but let me tell you, Mr. Manning, about how you want to land that rover on Mars. At a certain point, I'm just like, agree to disagree, I guess. Like, what, you know, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you how to write sci-fi, Roger. You know, we haven't said it yet. Roger Williams, author of my favorite book, Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect, available on Lulu and Amazon, will be in the link in the description. I'm not going to tell you how to write, you know, I to me this is just, again, it's, I guess it's more of my own practice of, you know, trying to open my mind more in everything. Every day I try to find the best fucking things that the Biden administration's doing. I'm not gonna get anywhere just sitting here going, Trump should have won. That's not gonna get me anywhere. I'm just gonna be a miserable fuck. So every
yeah.
day I try to find the best things that's going on and just fucking cheer it on. Like, all else is madness. What am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and go, I don't like being white with blue eyes? It's not changing. You know, knock on wood, maybe genetic experiments in the next 20 years. But I mean, at a certain point, it is what it is, you know? So I
Well,
guess,
tell me now that brings up an interesting thing though, because knowing your politics and everything, what do you like that Biden has done? I'm curious,
yeah,
genuinely.
genuinely curious. Unlike this is not popular with my conservative friends. I
I
think,
didn't expect it to be.
no, yeah. Listen, I think loads of I generally think immigrants are good. I'm not, you know, illegal. Like, no, you can't. That's not a nation. You don't have a nation if you can't control the flow of people. That being said, the hardest working, smartest friends I have in my life. One who's a bodybuilder. One's a physical therapist. Two of them are physicians. One went to Harvard. They're all first generation immigrants from Africa, South Korea, Bulgaria, and Kosovo.
We are a nation of immigrants.
What I mean is they're the hardest working people. And they're the people who are going to, they come from war torn areas. Their parents, you know, their parents don't have high school degrees. They truly are. So,
Well, they aren't complacent. They know what it costs.
well, that's what I mean. And then, so I no, I don't think it's good to just open the borders and let people fly in. I think that's a legitimate threat issue.
But
However,
nobody is actually doing that.
however, however, I tend to think More immigrants are better. I just think they're harder working, and you that might come across as racist. Like, but I mean, dude, when someone really hustles, it's like
No, I don't think that's racist. I think
I'm
that's
trying to
an accurate. I think that's an accurate assessment of what
the
you're
hardest
talking
working.
about someone who worked hard as fuck to get here.
Well, not only
Um,
that, but it's like, you know, it is a racist comment when it's like, well, who else is going to do the jobs we don't want to do? No, but seriously, you have to be hungry to do that shit. Okay, you have to be hungry. So if you're out there on a corner offering to be a day worker for $20 to go pull roots all day in the Atlanta sun, man, that's someone who's going to hustle. That's what this nation's built on. Another thing, I do like that he shot back at the CCP in the South China Sea, sending our naval forces there. It's that is the trope I fell for. The Democrats going to be weak. You know, it's like everyone
not
saying
that
JFK was
not
going to
this
be weak.
guy though.
Yeah, yeah. It's like everyone saying JFK was going to be weak, and then JFK came in saying Eisenhower was weak. We need more bombers. People shit on Obama because he wanted to have less people in detention facilities on Guantanamo. What a lot of people don't know is Obama kind of did a funny caveat. He said just do more drone strikes because you can't have detainee problems if no one survives. Hey man, it's a zero sum world, and I respect that. It's Look, I have to find these things, and I have to. And this is one thing I will say: I did like Trump. Like I'll never deny that. I own everything I say, dude. I voted for Obama, I voted for Romney, I voted for Bernie, and then I voted for Trump. I grow and I change.
That's
I will say that you know Trump hadn't. It cannot be denied. He had a booming economy, and people that are suffering that perhaps were making more money than before. I get their standpoint where they're like, I don't give a fuck if he's crass. I have more money. I get it. Sure. That being said, this is superficial, but I do. I think you gotta have a boring diplomat in the White House. If Trump was funny, and I know a lot of people are like, no, he was a Nazi. I thought it was funny. You gotta have a very boring diplomatic person. If that, for the very least, you just need a facade, right? I like that. I just do. I think the White House should be boring. It shouldn't be sexy. It should be very boring. But
well, we fully agree on that then.
yeah, it's Trump was a fever dream. That was just a weird 4 years. Woke up in a sweat. Like, what the fuck happened? But you do. It's the same reason why Patton, or MacArthur were never rose up like Eisenhower did. Because Eisenhower, despite knowing how battles were fought and how wars were fought, Eisenhower didn't know any less than Patton or MacArthur. It's not that he didn't see the bloodshed. I mean, he oversaw the largest amphibious invasion in the history of man. But what he saw was that you also have to be diplomatic. Whereas Patton was Patton's quote, "We're going to kill these goddamn crowds and we're going to grease our tank treads with their guts." Hey, that's what you want, That's what you want in World War II when you're fighting literal Nazis. Sure, you want that pit bull of a man, you know? But
but not in politics after it's
when,
over.
when it comes to higher tiers, right? You have to have someone that knows when to dial it down. Even if in their mind they are still a Patton and they're thinking, fuck this guy, fuck this stupid hippie piece of shit. There is a certain level of intellect that shows to just
They
put on a face. It's at the very least, again, it's one thing I've found with this podcast is when someone says something I don't agree with, don't roll up your sleeves and hit them back. At the very least, just practice hearing something you don't like and not trying to insult that person or come back and win the conversation. It doesn't have to be a win. It doesn't have to be a 1 point Tommy, 1 point Roger, 2 points to Roger, 2 points Tommy. So I do like, and again, I can see people, well, Trump was an outsider, threw a wrench in this. Yeah, sure, I get it, and I get it. And look, I liked him. I don't need someone to tell me why people liked him. I know why, because I know why I liked him. I like for it to, you gotta have a diplomat. You just do. You at the very least, just for some level of normality, at the level of nations meeting who have nuclear weapons. You gotta,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Speaking as Kerrigan Williams 2028, when we're giving everybody else their own nuclear weapon.
Well, we will be diplomatic about it. We will not
Yeah.
be wearing hoodies. We will be wearing suits with American flag pins. But even then, right? We are putting on a mask and we're dressing it up. But it's like what Kennedy said about Curtis LeMay. Curtis LeMay was general. He's the head of Strategic Air Command. He was the inspiration for the crazy general in Doctor Strangelove. I mean, dude, Curtis LeMay was a war hero. He never sent his bombers over Japan unless he would never send them on a mission. He would never send them. He always led the missions. Like literally was in the plane at the front.
Yeah.
You have to respect that. He helped push for the end of the war. He finished the war through brutal means. He was in charge of Strategic Air Command, all of our nuclear missiles. He was in the Oval Office. You can listen to the tapes with him, JFK, and RFK. Kennedy would often say, you don't want Curtis LeMay determining whether or not you go into a war, because this is a guy that he used to send American bombers at supersonic speeds, and then they'd stop right at the Russian border and come back. And someone once said, "Aren't you afraid that might set off World War III?" And he said, "With a little
Well, he
luck."
was hoping that it would.
Well, he said,
Yes.
"With a little luck, it will." Okay, that's insane. That being said, Kennedy would say, you don't want LeMay determining whether or not you go into a war, but if you are in war, you want to have a LeMay on your side. You want to be able to let loose the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean Kennedy was any less willing to take out the Soviets if needed, but you have to be able to put on a face, right? You have to say what you will about Joe Rogan or being a dumb oaf. The dude knows how to, at the very least, hold a conversation with someone that maybe he doesn't agree with. I think there's something to be said for that. And I'm sure most people are listening, well, that doesn't fucking matter. But like, yeah, I get it, dude. I didn't vote for Biden, all right? I was, there's no, Tommy, are you a liberal? Look, man, I like
Well,
him.
I asked you the question.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Tommy.
I like a boring guy. I like a boring guy. I would love a Trump in the Pentagon. You want that. You want the guy, because it's like, here's our scary pit bull. Don't let it make him put him off the leash. But dude, in the White House, you want a boring Godfather. That's what you want. You want a very boring patriarchal or matriarchal figure, right? Let's say Biden kicks the bucket and Kamala takes over. I'm okay with that. It's a fucking just a measured person. Just, I don't agree with their politics, but I mean, goddamn, like I'm not gonna sit here and, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and pound my feet and say everything bad about him, because
Well, Joe was a senator for 20 years, and Kamala's been a prosecutor, which is like one of the reasons that liberals across the board didn't like her. But
it's like,
and
it's like, sorry, it's like what Tim Dillon said. He was like, conservatives, they're okay with a Kamala Biden ticket. You know why? Because it's an old white guy that passed the crime bill, and it's a woman that doesn't care about locking people up. A bunch of old crusty Republicans are going, I can play ball with them. They're demons like me, and it's like,
yeah, and there's a lot of Democrats who are like super sketchy about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, But I'm happy as a lifelong Democrat and left leaning person. I think that this administration is doing pretty damn good.
Yeah, and like I can't for 4 years make fun of my liberal friends or sit on a high horse. And the one analogy I beat into the ground was the president is the pilot of this plane, and this plane has a left wing and a right wing. If you don't want to cheer on your pilot's failures, ha! He's fucked. He's nosediving this thing right into a mountainside. Because hey, even though you're on the left wing and I'm on the right wing, the reality is we're all in this fuselage with wings full of fuel heading towards a granite mountain face. None of us are going to survive.
Mhm.
I can't for 4 years use that analogy and scoff at my liberal friends and say like at the very least you should want your president to succeed. Sure, vote him out, but you should want him to succeed. I can't do that and then not hold myself to that same standard. So what am I going to do? Ha! Biden really fucked us. Ha! China's going to take over America. Woo! You guys are fucked. It's like, Tommy, where do you live? You live in America. It's what Curtis LeMay said to JFK in the Oval Office during the Cuban Missile Crisis. You can hear it on tape. LeMay says to JFK, "You're in quite a fix." And Kennedy goes, "What did you say?" And he goes, "You're in quite a fix." And Kennedy goes, "You're right there with me." And Kennedy later said to, I think, RFK, he was like Curtis LeMay was looking at me kind of like, "Man, you are so fucked. They're gonna nuke us." It's like, dude, you're fucked too. You know, we're in the same plane. So I can't. There is no one. It's just hypocritical. But two, there's no logic in that. I have to look for the good things the president's doing. I have to find the good things, if not for my own sanity. How can someone wake up every day and just talk about how bad dude, you're gonna go insane. It's gonna drive you to hitting the bottle every day. Like, so I don't know if that answers your question. I know I've been ranting for like 20 minutes.
No, I found that a very satisfactory answer. Thanks.
I know it was all over the place.
No, it's
I think
yeah, but no, it's a complicated situation, and also you're sick, and so no, but yeah, we all have to deal with the situation and the people that we have to deal with, you know. So
yeah, it's
um
it's never
so
gonna.
so anyway, I'm thinking you probably aren't going to be in the mood to hear another reading that might
I
last an
I
hour or more.
no, I can't do one today, dude. I'm fucking sick of shit.
I I understand that.
I'm sorry,
So
Roger.
hey, eventually we'll do it. Not
Eventually
right
we'll
at
fucking
first.
eventually we'll fucking get. I mean, you're not going anywhere. You don't have my permission to stop appearing on this podcast, so we will get to it. But it's no, I'm just I've been doing a actually we've gone for an hour and 4 minutes. I've been doing a hard. I've been cutting people off at exactly. Normally, as you know, the guest tells me when they're finished, and I'm like, oh, okay. For the past, I think from episode 401 through today, I've had to tell people beforehand. I'm like, dude, I can give you 45 minutes to an hour. After that, I'm gonna literally shit my pants and or throw up. So no, I don't. I can't. I can't be a good audience to a reading.
Yeah. No, look, so say yeah, you don't want to be screwing yourself over. I'm fine. Hey, that's whatever. Okay, so are we done for the day?
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
trying to. I'm thinking. So I'm having on this author at the end of the month named David Vine, who wrote a book called Base Nation. It's a nonfiction about the U.S. military bases abroad, and it really is an examination. It's the most realistic and uh, what word am I looking for? Best sampled, if you will, look at the military industrial complex. Like we hear that term thrown around. Everyone's heard the Eisenhower speech. Yeah, sure, we get it. Deep state, government, military. Yeah, I get it. His take on his book on the military bases around the world has, unlike anything else, any other book I've ever read, has truly convinced me. Oh, the military industrial complex cannot be stopped. And that has in some sense brought me some peace because I've realized, oh, it can't be stopped. The machine moves forward. And yeah, it's just there's been a little peace with that. It was like, what's the first thing Biden did? Is we bombed Syria, and it's like, fuck it, fuck it. All right, we're back. We're back, baby. And it's, I don't know. That book has brought me peace in the most unlikely way, through sheer terror. It has made me realize, like, oh, there's a multi-trillion-dollar defense behemoth, and it runs the world.
Yeah, well, except that it used to be called the War Department, and
Yeah.
now we call it Defense. But there's nobody that we're defending ourselves against.
Well, it's what like Ed Snowden said. He was like, national security doesn't mean what you think it means. It means the security of the nation, meaning the top elite. What it really means is Washington D.C. elite security. But they just call,
Uh,
hey man, well when you have trillions of dollars, what can you afford? A great PR department. Makes sense, man. They know how to flip it. They know how to change it, right? Um, but it's like what Frank Zappa said. Politics is just the entertainment branch of the military-industrial complex, or the entertainment division.
yeah, Zappa was a very underrated person. He had a lot of very smart things to say.
Zappa had some great quotes. Roger, I feel like I'm going to throw up soon, so
Ooh, yeah, I've been there, done
let's.
that actually
Got those
recently.
like those like clammy sweats where I go from freezing to just sort of like, ugh, okay, I can kind of feel my stomach rolling. So
Yeah, well, you don't want to throw up in your good hoodie, so let's, I'll suggest that we wrap it up then.
okay,
You know, like we've had a good little episode here.
we had a. I don't even. What the fuck is the title of this episode gonna be? Because we had three distinct phases: shameless merch plug, vaccinations, what I like about the Biden administration. There's really no way I can. I don't.
I would say vaccinations.
I'm trying to steer clear of that because I
Because
kind of
it'll
have.
piss off all of your regulars.
No, 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 no. I have no, no, no. I have my own. I have this my own game I'm playing now, where I try to make it so that YouTube doesn't put one of those little banners underneath the title. Like if I put JFK in the title, they put one of those little banners, and it's like John F. Kennedy was assassinated. A lot of conspiracy theorists, if you say COVID, it's COVID-19. If you put election fraud, they used to put a banner. Now you just get suspended. I kind of play my own little game now, where I try to dodge their little banners. So
Well, I can't help you there. That's your that's your game. Yeah. I'm just saying what I would do would probably be to say vaccinations and say the rest of it was.
yeah, you're probably right. We'll go with vaccinations. I feel like shit, Roger. I legitimately feel like dog shit. Let's wrap this one up.
All right, yeah, it's like I had the second vaccination. It's like my arm still hurts a little bit, but not in a serious way. So I'm I'm good with that. But yeah, you're looking kind of green.
I'm feeling kind of green. I think I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll see you,
Yes.
Roger. I'll text you when it's up. Godspeed.